you found a 911 lover. Commander, you found a 911 soldier. Jesus, you found a 911 vessel.
Usually what Professor Adewobi told me once, there was a time he wrote a book on marketing. And some of us were laughing at him. We said, okay, how come marketing again? He said, he had written, we know you to be a guru in finance. We know you to be a guru in accounting. Then this marketing thing, we don't understand it. And he said he gave him a course to do in marketing. And he looked at it and he said, well, it's going to accept the challenge. And at the end of the day, he ended up producing what? A book out of that challenge. So when I look at that, I just told myself that, like, oh boy, if it is not fear, and do not allow fear to overtake you. So I called our Reverend and spoke with him that this topic is looking one kind of you. I don't know whether you can, whether this is what I understand by it. And he said that's exactly what I okay. Provided you okay it, then I will go on. But let me emphasize that beside that, I accept responsibility for whatever I'm discussing here. In other words, it's not as if I'm delegated or anything like that. And as far as I'm concerned, the way I see it is that I'm here to lead discussion. I'm not here to provide solution to the Nigerian problem. So I'm here to raise issues. I'm here to bring out some facts for all of us to reflect and decide whether we are on course or otherwise. So with that, I will want to start going down the slide. Please go down. You will see from there that I've put some ideas on paper there. I said that all citizens of this great country, including those present here, have roles to play in political and economic emancipation of this country, and I believe you agree with me with that. So I'm leading discussion, and I say clearly that to make Nigeria better is a task for all of us. Now, going on to the next slide. The way I'm going to discuss, I want to start from, they say that you start from what we call comforting zone. So I want to start from an area that I'm a bit familiar with. And that area will say that in mathematics, when you say A is equal to B, A remains equal to B, provided you have done nothing to change the position of A. Because the moment you tinker with A, it can no longer be equal to B until you tinker with B. That's when they are equal. Please, you need to listen carefully because you will see where I'm going at the end of the day. Ditto in accounting, there is a statement that we prepare. We call this statement of financial position. And one thing that is germane in that is that the total assets must at any time be equal to total liabilities. Where am I going? We say, next slide please. We say for government at state and local and federal levels, one of the key challenges is the need to generate sufficient revenue to finance the multitude of essential expenses needed for their planned activities. Governments require funds from taxes, levies, allocations of federal revenue, etc., to meet their mounting obligations such as salaries, provision of infrastructural facilities, etc. Hence, government effectiveness will depend on generating sufficient revenue to meet their expenses. Where I'm driving at gradually is that if you follow the papers and you follow what we keep on discussing every day, everybody seems to focus on one side, what government should do. We want this government to do this for us. We want this government to do that for us. We want this government to do this for us. We want to. But when it comes to the other side of the balance sheet or statement of financial position, how do they fund what they are going to do? I'm not here now. I've said it. I'm not a politician. I'm just here to raise issues so that when we go back or when we are discussing here, we reflect on them. So, government's effectiveness will depend on generating sufficient revenue to meet their expenses. And you find that, yes, we have crude oil, we have some natural resources, but you find also that for most governments, they expect taxes, levies, and other things, which are income that are supposed to come from citizens. We are coming back to that later because we are just starting the discussion. And just like we talk about in government, and I also want you to know that even in a family setting or church or business, there is always need to balance the two sides. Because if the two sides are not balanced, if you have a child that is always saying bring, and there is time to contribute to work, and the guy is nowhere available, are you going to support such a child? You know, when it comes to school fees, the guy is there. When it comes to paying this, the guy is there. Then when it comes to contributing to how to generate revenue to meet those things, the guy is not anywhere to be found. So these are issues for all of us. I'm not here to propaganda that I've told you. I don't know the answer. But luckily in the house, we have very experienced people who can give us opinion on them. Then the second issue I want to mention about introduction is on success in life. It's not measured by narrow parameters such as money, house, or cars alone. You find that out there people are running enter-scatter. I want to make money, I want to make money. I usually laugh when I'm listening to those comments. Listening because when I look at my own background, I used to remember that money becomes very elusive when you start running after it. I don't know whether anybody has realized that. You start not getting money the moment you make money your main subject. If your main subject is to chase money, the chances are that you will not get money. Because go and ask the billionaires and those of them that have money, what they do is think of something, service they can provide, needs that they can meet. That is the focus. It's not about narrow definition that I just want to get money by all means. So these are things for all of us in the larger context, so that when we are discussing, we need to look at that as it affects our own situation, our home, our business, our church, and every other thing. So the timing of success also varies. What applies to A may not necessarily apply to B. You have some people that do make their own success at the earlier level, maybe 20, 30, they are there. You find people that don't get there until they are 70. So, I've quoted, in the next slide, I've quoted some Bible verses there. Ecclesiastes says the race is not for the sweet, nor the battle for the strong. And Proverbs further adds that it is the blessing of the Lord that makes one rich without adding any sorrow. And I added there that explains why, you know, when you see people who say they are 419 and they are running enter-scatter, most of the time they are still not there. Then Brian Tracy, a motivational speaker, also said something that can help us here. Ability to discipline oneself to delay gratification. You find that that's what people do. If all you are running after is how to grab money, how to get money, then I think you have a problem somewhere. But what people do most of the time is try to have something to deliver. And I've said, in concluding that the governance agreement, next slide please. Governance agreement is a very important concept in all human endeavors. It is important in families, in schools, in religious bodies, in corporate organizations. If I can elaborate on the corporate organization, for example, you find that in most business organizations, you have the board of directors as the peak body that controls the organization. But beyond that board of directors, you have managerial levels, and then you can cascade down to other levels of the organization. So, what we are trying to say here with respect to governance is, if you look at the next slide, please. Next slides talk about we as citizens being encouraged to be subject to governing authorities. And I've attempted to define what governance agreement is in that same slide. Now the next slide, the usual overriding focus of governance is to achieve stated objectives, meaning that I've said it in passing that I'm not here to appraise this government or the past government, so I don't have any business doing that. And for me, the present government cannot be appraised yet because they are just 2 months down the line. Yes, they have introduced some policies that beg for question mark, but where that will take us, whether it will take us to the land or take us into the deep sea or whatever, only God knows for now. So it's difficult now to say where the tide is likely to take us. So for my own discussion, what I plan to do is, when we talk about good governance, what do we expect to be? And I've deliberately decided to go in a little bit in, because you see, it's easy to sit out there and start talking about good governance, but we need to look at the arrangement proper. What is democracy? How do the elected people get there? What is the expectation? I think it is when we have clear picture about all these details that you can then properly appraise. So, I said here, governance can be viewed from family, organization, and national levels. And each level has its up and downs. But there are some what you can call common traits that one will expect. Common traits like opportunity for participation by all, due consideration of the needs of the various constituent parts of the society, then deliberate efforts to ensure that limited available resources are channeled towards meeting the needs of the constituent parts. Now, before going further, I've attempted to divert a little bit. I will not turn this to a formal class, so I will just run over some of the slides there. I attempted to remind us what democracy is all about. And in doing that, I attempted to highlight some words for us. Like I said, I'm not here to provide solutions. You just look at those words and ask yourself whether that is what we have. For example, people say democracy is government of the people by the people. And if you go to the next slide, you see what we expect to to happen when you have a democratic governance arrangement. You should have elected representatives. You should have organized opposition party. You should have independent judiciary. You should have rule of law. And under there, I've tried to highlight some statements there. I say, political parties are an organization comprising of who? Like-minded members. So, these are questions for us, like I said before. The political parties that we have, are they like-minded members? On whose platforms representatives are elected? Well, I don't know whether you call it elected, whether you call it selected, whether you call it Godfatherism, what do we call it there? And they are to pursue what? The interest of who? Of the electorate. So again, the question for us is, the political parties that we have, are they truly pursuing the interests of the electorate? These are issues. You know, like I said, I'm not to provide, I don't want to say this is it or this that. But let's reflect on those terms and ask ourselves what we have. Now, I try further to explain that democratic governance or government can be two types. You have the presidential type, which is the one we are operating, and in the presidential type, that is where we have the president, we have the Senate, you have the House of Representatives. And of course, you can remind yourself about the feature of that arrangement. The feature, of course, is that the president carries his campaign to you, to the people. All the other House of Reps also carry their. So they are like working on their own. But the only thing that unites them together is the political party. Because you see, what I'm saying, where I'm going basically is that we don't drill down to ask ourselves a lot of questions. We are just saying, provide this, do that. If I can be more specific, in case you don't know where I'm going, let me be more specific. Imagine a politician that starts from, let's say, which local government are we here? Isolo. So if you start, assuming you started from Isolo as a politician, and you have some people that run around for you to campaign and other things, and then they make you, and then you are successful. Maybe you even become local government, what do they call them? Local government chairman, thank you, sir. Now, remember that those people you have, they call them, they are the people that go around for you, and you have to continue to support them. Now, peradventure you decide to go to the state. By the time you move to the state, you can no longer rely on your only the few people working for you here in Isolo. You must expand your tentacles to what? All the other local governments. So if perhaps you are having 10 as people that work and go around for you before, you may now need to have 10 in several local governments. Are you getting me? I just want you to reflect back and see our problem the way it is. Now, if adventure, like the former deputy governor of Lagos State, Mrs. Adekunle also, that is now in the Senate. If adventure you now find yourself up there, you now find yourself in Abuja. I don't know whether you can imagine what that translates to me. Because it means that even your support base in Lagos alone, well, at least for them, since their election is still based on Lagos, maybe they will still go. But for people like Tinubu, You understand me? Now reflect a person like Tinubu now that has to not only have food workers, not just in Lagos, but in majority of the states in order to get there. And when they get there, immediately they are inaugurated. Me and you, we are calling them. Hey, hello, how's Abuja? We read on television that new people have been inaugurated. I hope you have not forgotten us. And then maybe another 2 days. I forgot to monitor to you that your daughter is getting married next week. And then the man started looking at you that which daughter are we talking? I hope you understand. Do you know that my wife just put to bed? Your wife, you know, the way we put our language. So, invariably, the man has not even collected the first allowance there. And then, already, there is a long list. Some people will not even allow them to spend 2 weeks. They will carry some people from here and say, look, I know I was somewhere where somebody was telling me about almost 3 or 4 weeks ago, you know that he's going to Abuja to do what? He said he has to go before they finish everything. I said, what are they finishing? He said he must go. He said, I don't know anything. I said, well, I don't know anything because I'm not a politician. But they are just settling that. So what are you going to do exactly? So that's why we are going over all these details. So that me and you, we reflect when we are saying you have not done it. Because when we hear they are collecting billions, the perception is that they just collected the billion and quietly drive to their homes and are sharing it. I just pity some of them. Because the reality, if you look at it, is that some of them, by the time they collect it, some of them may not even see 10% to support their family. Because of the way we have wired our system. Because of our belief that once we go there, I used to have a friend that once served as a commissioner in Oyo State. And when I was in service, he used to come every day. He would just come and sit down and say, check, you must give me tea. So I asked them to give me tea and wood. And I said, my friend, what are you still looking for? That I thought that in my own little understanding, I was imagining that if I was as privileged as you to have been a commissioner, that by now, all my problems will be over. I said it's not over. I said, it is to tell me the truth. He said, in fact, that this is now the time that this problem had just started. So I told him to expatiate. So one of the things he told me is that, you know that in the course of their job, they put their hands into certain things that they should not do, including using those boys for certain dirty jobs that they should not do. So he said that becomes an albatross on your neck. They know what job they have done for you. So whether you like it or not, you are going to continue to pay for that dirty job. Whether you are in government or not in government, that is not the cup of tea of those boys. But when they come and say, okay, how are you, candidate? Your boys are broke. Chicken up. So you must. So that's what the guy said. He said, once they come, don't tell them story. What they want is, they don't know whether you borrow it. I have left government since yesterday. They say that one has stolen. No concern them. You must give them something. So that's why I'm trying to ask us to look in details at the setup. Of course, we also know that apart from the presidential system that please go down. I'm already on the parliamentary system. Next one. So in the parliamentary system, which is the one operated by the UK, you find that the arrangement is slightly different. Representatives are elected into the House of Commons, and when they get there, between themselves, they will now do election to elect who is the Prime Minister. That's why they call themselves, they say, concept of first among equals. That's why you will find that whenever they are having their own meeting, the Prime Minister is right there in their midst and is there talking to them. So it's not, there is no superiority between the head of government and the lawmakers, because they work in consonance. And the beauty of their own arrangement is that they can vote out. Because in our own system, the House cannot say, where they can impeach, but it's not as straightforward as their own. Because their own, you find that, you can remember the last lady that came in last year and spent less than, I think she spent less than 2 months or a month. You know, just one mistake. She just made one mistake, and then before you take that drop, she was out. That's how their own system is. So, still trying to round up on good governance. Good governance will entail active involvement of all citizens in managing their affairs or charting a course that will provide basic necessities as demonstrated by different forms of governance. Broadly speaking, it will entail provision of facilities like water, electricity, etc. In summary, in a country with good governance, the following should be expected. We should expect a government of elected representatives, free and fair elections. Executives should operate independently of the legislature at all governing levels, and practice of settlementocracy. I think that word is from Professor Molenwa that said we should avoid that. So the practice of settlementocracy should be avoided. Then programs and policies of the government should be geared to meet the needs of majority of the citizens. Provision of basic facilities to meet the needs of majority of the people. We expect transparency in governance activities, effective and efficient utilization of resources. If you see what we have in the Public Procurement Act and Fiscal Responsibility Act, it says that before you award any contract, you must get minimum of what? 3 different proposals from independent. But if you know what they do now, if I want to award the contract, this is my preferred person, I will just go and go, what? Now you get ammo. Go look for 3 proposals and bring. Make sure your own is the lowest. Then they don't even stop at that. They will tell you that the lowest price you should quote is this. I'm sure people will not believe that. Do you understand what I'm saying? The law, what the law says is that the Public Procurement Act says before you procure anything, make sure you get 3 quotations from independent sources, so that you can compare and make sure that whoever quoted the list is given the job. Now I am an insider, and this gentleman is my friend, so he's the one I want to favor. So I will just call him, oh boy, come, don't mind them. That job that you want to do is for X amount, and he will get inside our book. So your own paper should read that amount. Make sure the other 2 quotations. So go look for your friend, collect their letter heading, bring 3 quotations to my table. Then the job is yours. And that's the practice. So God will help us, but that is the reality of what is going on in the country. So, still on governance, we have a few other issues mentioned there. Effectiveness and efficient utilization of resources, ensure rule of law is applied. Law enforcement agents should perform their roles efficiently and be properly equipped with needed tools. we have or we have been having security challenges, and people are complaining, why are the soldiers not in the forest? Why are they not running after the what do you call them, the kidnappers or Boko Haram people? But if Boko Haram is carrying sophisticated weapon and you don't have that weapon, can you go after them? And you don't, in some cases you don't even have operating vehicle to use. I witnessed something in the last 2 weeks and I almost went for this country. I was in a station to pursue an issue, and then a gentleman came and carried a nylon bag. Guess what the guy is selling? The guy is selling photocopy of documents being used by the police, charge sheets. You know what they call charge sheets? All those, he made several copies. So I look at him and say, Biko, now you even be government self. You don't pass. Because if you understand what that means, it means that he is the one now going from station to station to provide them with papers. And sadly enough, they were even confessing that they are owing him for some past supply that they have not paid, and they can't. You know, that the man is so, and you know, in my presence there, one of them was putting money in her bag to give the paper. I said, why must government allow this to happen? Because if you don't give them what they are going to use, so me and you now will say, police are taking bribe. Abi, police are taking bribe. But government must give them tools to use. Because if government fails to give them what they need to use, then the problem is already created. If they are going to use their own salary to buy chart paper, buy those things, then you can imagine where we are. So these are issues that we should reflect on in the course of our discussion. Let's move to the second part, because the paper actually is in 3 parts. We are now moving to the second part, which is economic development. I love this section, and I want you to please again pay attention to it. In Africa, we happen to be the most populous country. Nigeria has 222.6 million, followed by Ethiopia with 124.1 million. Egypt is 108.4 million. And you see that countries like South Africa that are far advanced, the population is far down, maybe about 50.something million. So it's not anywhere near what we have. Now, it is estimated that about 50.6% of our population are males, remaining are females. About 60% are youths, aged 25 years and below. If we want to cascade down further, in terms of analyzing it further, to ask ourselves, so the demographic, we can see what proportion is educated, what proportion belongs to this tribe or that tribe. I also mentioned the land area. I mentioned also the provision of the Land Use Act. And one of the beauty of Nigeria, please go down to the next one, is that we have many natural resources. In fact, you discover that there is no state that doesn't have 2 to 3 different resources. Nigeria is also an oil-producing country rather. We are part of OPEC. We are part of ECOWAS. We belong to African Union. Just go on to the next slide. Now, I put a note here. No, just go back. That note. I said we should note the strategic position of Africa in world order. including subtle struggle of powerful nations for a share of action. We are all aware of the role of the United States, European nations like France, like UK, like Portugal, China, and then maybe just about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks, I don't think so, when all the African heads of state were summoned to Russia. You know, there was something like that. You know, all of them went to Russia, and I'm sure that all is part of the game. There are still other organizations. I will just run through them. ADB. You soon get why I'm mentioning all those things. Then we have the World Trade Organization headed by our own Dr. Mrs. Okojo-Iweala. We have Group of Seven, which are the seven most advanced or industrialized nations. Then we have G20, which is a slightly enlarged number of countries. And I said sometimes countries that comprise G7 are described as advanced or developed, and the other ones are called third world or developing economies. Now, Nigeria is endowed with abundant human and natural resources, and I say that this item provides source of strength if properly harnessed. So it means that the problem of Nigeria is not that of lacking in resources. If you see, we have human resources in terms of number of population. We have the land area, reasonable, even though we are not the biggest. We also have several natural resources. In fact, if you see the table of natural resources for Nigeria, you will always start with India there and then. That if we have all this, then what are we talking about? Why are we suffering? Why are things not working? Why are we not exploiting all these items? Now, in the next slide, I said that the overview of involvement with regional and global organizations is meant to highlight abundant opportunities available to Nigeria and Nigerians to market and explore resources and opportunities beyond our geographical landscape in order to achieve our goals. And I also said in the next slide that, you know, people talk about JAPA, and we keep on looking at JAPA in a negative perception. If you go to some other countries, you will see that, for example, when Chinese people are going to America, they don't go in one. You are going to see them like 20. But before all of them go, all of them are registered. They will just, you know, they will just march after each other. They pack their bag, they are going together. If they are going to UK, you know, sometimes when you go on vacation, you see them. All of them are together. They are just working together there. So the point is that my view is that JAPA per se is not the issue. It's not that JAPA is bad. The type of JAPA that I think is bad is carrying your bag and going to another country without having the needed papers. Because if you leave this country, go to another country, and you don't have the necessary papers, then obviously you are not going there for any good. That means you are going to put yourself in trouble. And that's why you find that some of them, when they call them, you know, the police there, they work in twos. So they usually call the police Onibeji, you know, that is twins. So the moment they see Onibeji, they will take over, they will run, they will say Onibeji, they come. So they will dodge and start running enter scatter. And they are doing that simply because they don't have the papers. So what one is saying is that as Nigerians, we need to explore local and external opportunities with the sole aim of harnessing the benefits for positive development in our land. And I've mentioned that that's what some other countries are doing. Just about 2 weeks ago, Nigeria in the Diaspora Commission had a get-together in Abuja where they brought people from diaspora. That is what we should be doing. That is the kind of arrangement that we need. Because you see, we are so blessed. This country is one of the most blessed countries in the world in terms of the quality of our people. Highly educated people, professors, doctors, in athletics, in engineering. Talk about it. There is no sphere of human life that will turn and you not find highly qualified Nigerians there. So the issue is we should positively harness the opportunities available to us rather than saying don't go and we should discourage those of them that go out there and spoil us. Because if you go and you don't have the necessary papers, then obviously you are not likely to start doing good things over there. You know, I'm sure I'm not the only one. I have seen several situations over there. I can recall a situation where we were in a train station and somebody just called us, and then the next thing is you don't know me. I said, no, you from where? Is there a people? I said, you know me. I says, this school. What are you doing here? He said, what they are doing is got a coin to spare. Got a coin to spare. You don't know what they call got a coin to spare. They are just going around. If you have coin or was $1 to or 1 pence, just coin, just throw your coin, and that's what they are doing. So I had to talk to him. I said, my brother, is it this bad that you can't go back? What are you doing there? I said, did you not go to there and get to school? Then what are you doing here? He said they got here before they are you don't. If you were to over there, if you can't go forward, can't you go back? Must you stay in another person's land and start solving yourself? Say, what this thing you are not begging for, how is it going to survive you? And that is it. There are some people like that there. That's what they are doing. And you see that either you see train stations, you see underground stations, they have mobile, their bed is mobile. They use this camp bed. You see them, they will pack it. In the morning they will pack it, put their things there. And then go around, in the evening they come back and sleep. And the question is, why must you go and do that? So we should, within our own sphere of influence, if we have people like that are going, please, let's discourage them, because if you want to go, we are not saying don't go, but we are saying don't go and spoil us there. Don't go and go with the necessary papers. Go there and do the right thing. Don't just go and waste your time. Going on to the next slide. We say there are weaknesses and threats limiting us as Nigerians. The weaknesses are likely internal and can be found in our attitude to work, indiscipline, shortcut syndrome, breakdown of values, preference for foreign goods and practices. You know, when people are bragging about foreign goods, they make it look as if once you are not eating or once you are not doing certain things, you don't know it. But to me, that is just a mistake. Unfortunately, for people like me, I don't have much problem. And the problem with me is that I came from Oyo. And what I usually tell people is that, you see, the day I will have problem is the day they give me amala and I say I'm not taking it. Amala, begiri, and ewedu. Because that is the best food in the whole world. You understand? For me, that is the best food in the whole world. I don't care where you are. In fact, if I have privilege of traveling outside, most of the time, that's what I look for. I usually shop. If I don't see it on the net, I will go around and look for it. and then I will take it when I thank God that don't mind them, that all these useless food, who wants it? So for me, Amala and gbegiri, that is the best food in the world. So I don't care what you eat. If you take whatever you take, that's your own personal problem. But the tendency to abandon our own values, the tendency to leave everything that is ours and start imbibing other culture, other things, that is part of our problem, and we need to address them. I've said it before that educationally and professionally, Nigerians are hardworking, well respected and recognized all over the globe. However, we have few Nigerians holding the good records created by the majority through their fraudulent and shortcut activities. In conclusion, improvement in economic development and growth can be assessed through parameters such as increase in living and educational standards, improvement in the healthcare of the citizens, the provision of infrastructural facilities, diversification of the economy, improvement in real GDP and national income. Now that brings us to the main focus of